evening and welcome to Just the News. I'm Faye D'Souza. Let's get straight to the headlines. We have a lot to work through today. To begin with, unfortunately, the death toll in Tamil Nadu and specifically in Chennai because of the rains has now reached 14. 14 people have died in Tamil Nadu. Several areas of Chennai remain waterlogged. Air, rail and vehicular traffic have been hit. The NDRF has deployed 13 teams in the state. In the meantime, residents in many areas have complained of lack of power for the last 4 days at least. Southern Railways have said that services from Chennai Central to Tiruvallur have been suspended because of waterlogging on the tracks. Flight arrivals have been suspended until 6 p.m. today because of the wind speeds, and road traffic in the city, of course, has been affected. 13 subways in the city are flooded. Red alerts have been issued for 8 districts including Chennai and Puducherry. Schools and colleges have been shut in Chennai and other districts now for the 4th straight day. There's also apparently fears of cars being submerged, similar to what had happened in the 2015 floods, and many people have now taken to parking their cars on the flyovers to keep their cars safe from the water. According to ANI, the Indian Met Department officials in Chennai has said that as far as Chennai is concerned, current rainfall activities will continue. At a few places, heavy to very heavy rainfall is expected. Some places are expected to receive extremely heavy rainfall, end quote. The Met Department has also said that heavy rains over Tamil Nadu and Andhra Pradesh are likely to decrease tomorrow as the depression basically makes landfall and will begin to weaken. Tamil Nadu Governor R.N. Ravi spoke with Chief Minister M.K. Stalin over the phone to review the relief and rescue measures. The Chief Minister has blamed the previous AIADMK government for what he called inaction and corruption, resulting in the waterlogging in the city. In Punjab, the Assembly today passed a resolution against the central government's 3 farm laws in a special session of the State Assembly. Now, during the debate, Punjab Congress Chief Navjot Singh Sidhu blamed the Shiromani Akali Dal, which was a former ally of the BJP, for the 3 laws and said the beginning was made by the Chief Minister Prakash Singh Badal by notifying the Contract Farming Act back in 2013. There were heated arguments in the Assembly and the House was adjourned 4 times to restore order. Remember, farmers have been protesting these 3 farm laws now since November last year. On the last day of the Chhath Puja in Delhi, the Aam Aadmi Party has come under flak and a lot of criticism for the state of the Yamuna. Devotees could be seen standing in knee-deep water with toxic foam in the Yamuna River. The toxic foam is caused by increased ammonia levels, high phosphate content. This is basically discharge from industrial pollutants that are basically being led into the river. The river is extremely dangerous and extremely polluted. In some very odd face-saving exercises conducted by the Delhi government placed bamboo net barricades in the river to catch the foam and let only the water through. So the foam doesn't touch the people, but it's really the water that is polluted. Also, the government went as far as to depute some employees of the Delhi Jal Board to sprinkle water on the river in an attempt to dissipate the foam. This also resulted in a tussle between the Aam Aadmi Party and the BJP in Delhi. Aam Aadmi Party leader Raghav Chadha blamed BJP governments in Uttar Pradesh and in Haryana for polluting the Yamuna River. The Disaster Management Authority prohibited any sort of prayers and devotees from performing rituals on the ghats of the Yamuna to prevent what they call the spread of COVID. However, BJP MP Manoj Tiwari reached the Yamuna Ghat and said that he will not follow these orders, adding that nobody can stop people from performing rituals in the river. Earlier, the Delhi High Court had also dismissed a plea challenging the decision to prohibit devotees from performing Chhath Puja at the banks of the Yamuna River. The Yamuna River, after all of that politics though, remains extremely polluted. There's been another very severe drug haul in Gujarat, this time worth 300 crore rupees. These were seized in Gujarat's Dwarka district. Now, according to police officials quoted in the Times of India, it basically said that drugs were brought in via the sea route from Pakistan, smuggled into Gujarat from the coastal areas of Dwarka. There are concerns that there's an increased drug supply in India coming via Pakistan and Afghanistan. Afghanistan, remember, is the largest producer of opium in the world, and it's a major income source for that country. There are concerns now after the Taliban took over. The Maharashtra State Road Transport Corporation employees continued their strike for the 15th day today, even after Chief Minister Uddhav Thackeray appealed to them to cooperate with the state government and to resolve the issue. Now, apparently, the MSRTC is extremely cash-strapped and the employees are demanding that it be merged with the state government. 250 bus depots in the state were shut for the second consecutive day and people were stranded and they faced many issues. 900 employees of the MSRTC have been suspended for provoking and participating in the strike. According to PTI, suspended pediatrician Dr. Kafil Khan of Uttar Pradesh's Baba Raghav Das Medical College and Hospital has said that he was sacked by the state government without due reason. The Uttar Pradesh Principal Secretary of Medical Education, Alok Kumar, said Dr. Khan was sacked after he was found guilty in an investigation into the circumstances leading to the death of the children in the Gorakhpur hospital when it ran out of oxygen. Dr. Khan said he will move to court when he gets his letter of termination. Remember, this happened back in 2017. He was suspended, arrested, and then jailed for his alleged role in the death of 63 babies, children, in Gorakhpur back in 2017. The children died because the hospital ran out of oxygen, and the Uttar Pradesh government suspended him because he apparently failed to take prompt action despite knowing of the impending crisis. He was jailed for 9 months and on charges of medical negligence, corruption, and dereliction of duty. Of course, the courts have cleared him of all charges. He now hopes that the government will reinstate him. India has reported 13,091 new COVID cases and 340 deaths in the last 24 hours. That's marginally higher from the 11,000 we reported yesterday. Kerala reporting 7,540 new cases. The chairman and managing director of Bharat Biotech that produces Covaxin, one of our vaccines, Krishna Ella, has said that the best time or the ideal time for a booster dose for Indian citizens for the COVID vaccine is 6 months after your second dose is done. Several countries like the US, for example, have commissioned booster doses for their citizens. A quick look at news coming in from the world of business and economy. According to PTI, while addressing a summit virtually, Union Minister Nitin Gadkari said that if petrol, diesel and other petroleum products are brought under the GST regime, taxes will reduce further and both state and centre will generate more revenue. He went on to say that the Finance Minister, Nirmala Sitharaman, will definitely try to bring petrol and diesel under GST if she gets the support of state governments. He said, and I quote, "In the GST Council, finance ministers of states are also members. Some of the states are against bringing petrol and diesel under the GST regime. If petrol and diesel are brought under the GST regime, then taxes on these products will be reduced and both revenue of state and centre will increase." Now, you'll remember that he is right about the fact that the GST Council, which makes decisions on GST tax, basically has one representative of every state and, of course, the finance minister representing the central government. But the weightage on the finance minister, the central finance minister's vote is much higher than the states combined. And, of course, the BJP does control several of the states. So it has the lion's share of the vote in the GST Council. News coming in from across the world right now. A very strong boast for the COP26 summit. Two of the biggest emitters in the world, the US and China, have announced that they will work together in cutting greenhouse gas emissions, which is crucial in the next decade. This is really important. China's climate envoy has said that the agreement calls for concrete and pragmatic resolutions and regulations for decarbonization, reducing methane emissions, and fighting deforestation. The two countries will revive a working group that will meet regularly across the climate crisis and advance a multilateral process focusing on enhancing concrete actions in the coming decades. In the meantime, though, on a completely different note, China's President Xi Jinping on Thursday warned of a return of a Cold War-era tensions in the Asia-Pacific region. Now, this comes ahead of an upcoming virtual meeting with US President Joe Biden. Xi Jinping said, and I quote, "The Asia-Pacific region cannot and should not relapse into the confrontation and division of the Cold War era." He went on to say that attempts to draw ideological lines and form small circles on geopolitical grounds are bound to fail. The remarks reportedly were in reference to the US's effort with regional allies and their partners in the Quad. Remember, the Quad includes India, Japan, Australia, to counter China's growing economic and military influence in the area. Well, this is an interesting story, and let's hope that your boss is listening. Portugal's parliament last Friday approved new labor laws that makes it illegal for bosses to contact staff and employees after hours. According to the Associate Press, the regulation brings in new penalties for companies that disturb the privacy of their staff and their families, and it obligates employers to compensate staff for work-related expenses incurred at home. The law aims to attract digital nomads to the country and offer workers a healthier work-life balance. One piece of positive news before we leave you for today. Delhi's Ritika, who couldn't afford coaching classes for NEET, aced the exams with the help of YouTube classes and books. Her father, who used to do embroidery in a private factory, lost his job during the COVID lockdown. According to the New Indian Express, Ritika said that they struggled for a meal and survived using their savings. But seeing her passion and her good scores, her parents sold whatever jewelry her mother had saved for her wedding to buy her an Android phone and a book. Thank God for that. In the meantime, a total of 436 students from Delhi's schools cleared the NEET examination. Delhi Chief Minister congratulated students specifically from the government schools who apparently have done really well. That brings us to the end of the news. Thank you so much for listening. Do give us your feedback. And just so I know that you watched till the end of the bulletin, leave us a golden star in the comment section so I know how many of you watched all of it. Thank you so much for watching. Good night.